Welcome to The Kingstonian, a podcast that profiles individuals who are passionate about what they do for a living, about what organization they belong to, or simply passionate about the community they are a part of. Hello there, and welcome. My name is Dave Cunningham. A name most often associated with his time at the Ambassador Hotel, and now a big part of the promotion and management of the Kingston Pen Tours. Our guest is Vinnie Rebelo. So Vinnie, welcome to the program.
Well, Dave, thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Whenever I see your name in print or in social media or hear about you on television or radio, it's always in connection with you promoting the city in some way.
Absolutely.
What is it about this city that you like?
Well, this is the city that I was. I came here in 1963 as a small boy with my parents. We immigrated here from the islands of the Azores in Portugal, and I grew up here. I grew up here. This was my life. This is my city. I went to school here. Went to St. John's School, St. Pat's School, Regi, Queens. Married my childhood sweetheart. Got involved in the Ambassador Hotel, and that was my life here. Kingston has been so good to our family, so good to us. And I just love this city. Like it's perfect in every way. Like I know people say it's the greatest city in the world. To me, it is one of the greatest cities in the world because it's perfect for me.
Now, having been involved in the hospitality industry for a long time, I would imagine that you've traveled a little.
I have, yes. I've traveled quite a bit over the years.
Do you compare other cities to Kingston? What is it that we have that they may not have?
Well, every city's different. Every got their own uniqueness. Kingston is it's a little town with a big city feel to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. It's got a little bit of everything that you'd want in a big city without being encased in a concrete jungle.
Right.
In my travels, I've traveled a bit. Obviously, not a lot as most people would think, because working in the hospitality industry. For the time that I did, it's 24/7, 365.
That's right.
There's really no downtime in that respect. I look at the small towns like that I've been to. Halifax comes to mind. Venice. Even Venice comes to mind as well too. About I'm not comparing Kingston to Venice, but just the feel of being there and feeling welcome and just feeling a part of the community. It's hard to describe. It's hard to put in words.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Now, you and I share a couple of things besides a birth date.
Are you an April the 9th birthday too?
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. And I went
to Regi. It's a big year
Regi.
for me this year, eh?
And I know.
Yeah.
We won't tell people.
No, we won't tell people that.
I went to Regi.
Yeah.
Went to Queens.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah. Now, you started off high school. Well, you were in high school at Regi.
Yeah.
And like any other kid in high school, you're looking for a part-time job.
Absolutely.
So you end up at the Ambassador.
I did. Just as a fluke, one thing led to another, a conversation led to another. Joe Mello was Portuguese, my father. They knew each other from the island. They were basically born the same year.
Really?
They lived nearby in little towns nearby, like a pony ride away type of thing. And so, I was looking for something, and he said, sure, we could always use another dishwasher on the weekends. He said, well, okay, great. I'm willing to do anything at all. So that was where I started at the Ambassador. Put on a rubber apron and worked in the dishes and pots, and I was there till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning most Friday nights and Saturday nights, up to my eyeballs in dirty dishes and dirty pots. That's where I started.
Now, the Ambassador is one of those businesses that has a great history of growing.
Absolutely, yes.
Because I can remember when I moved here, the Ambassador was the spot at that end of town.
Yeah.
And it expanded, and you ended up adding on some space to the building.
Yeah.
So here you are, you're starting off as a dishwasher when you were in high school, and continued to work there part-time while you were going to Queens.
Absolutely.
Graduated from Queens and ended up working full-time.
Correct.
At the Ambassador, ended up as the general manager.
Yeah.
So it's the classic success story.
Well, I guess
starting at the beginning.
Absolutely. Well, it's a success story to the point where I cut my teeth from the ground up.
Yeah.
I learned the entire operation, seeing and doing what everybody else did. So what better way to learn how to lead if you know every single job that's there? There basically wasn't a single job there that I didn't do or didn't put my finger in. At one point, I was a disc jockey too. You know, I did disc jocking for weddings and stuff, and weddings and dances and New Year's Eve parties, all sorts of stuff. Whatever needed to be done,
you did.
I did. There was, you need to cut grass, you need to put up drywall or paint or whatever the case may be, fold laundry, cook onion rings. I was there. I never said no to anything. Whatever they wanted me to do, I says, yep, I want to learn that too.
Now, you developed a close relationship with the Mello family to the point where you married one of the daughters.
That's right. Yes, it was. I met her I saw her at school. She was the same. She was at Regi as well.
Okay.
Didn't really know who she was. Didn't know who she was until I actually started working there. So here I am, this young teenager, you know, up to my eyeballs and soaking wet from tip to toe, working every Friday and Saturday night. And one thing led to another, and it's all history now.
And you married the boss's daughter.
I married the boss's daughter. Actually, the funny story about that is that actually at one point in my career, business cards was the way to go. You hand out business cards and stuff, and I actually put on my business card MBD.
Married the boss's daughter.
Married the boss's daughter, because that's usually got a good conversation. You know, a lot of people put all kinds of letters after their name. I put an MBD. So people go, oh man, this is quite the degree, quite a smart guy. So when I actually told them what it was, people got a big kick out of that.
Now, you were involved with the ambassador right up until the point where you and the family sold the business.
Right. Well, actually, we had the ambassador, and then we actually bought the Hen and Hole in 1996,
That's right.
And we opened the 4 Points in 2000. So the 4 Points shirt was ours as well.
That's right.
So we built that from the ground up, built it, operated it. We sold the 4 Points in 2012. And we sold the ambassador in 2014. So 2014, I basically, 1st of April, I hung up my shingle, or whatever you want to call it. Hung up my cleats, if you want to call it that.
You took down the shingle.
I took down the shingle. That's right. There you go. And away we went. We left about 3 or 4 days later. Went on a tour of Route 66.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So we left just the first or second or third, 4th of April, and you wouldn't believe where we were on my 50th birthday. On Route 66. The start of it was in Chicago.
Yeah.
We were in Chicago on my 50th birthday. And where did we wind up? At the United Center, seeing the Canadians and the Hawks on my birthday.
Oh, really?
On my 50th birthday. How cool is that? And the next day we started on Route 66, heading all the way out to Santa Monica, California. We were gone for many weeks.
Okay, so you've sold the ambassador.
Yeah.
You sold the 4 Points.
Yeah.
And you've gone down Route 66.
Yeah.
And you're back in town. And you're
I'm
going,
back in town.
Okay, I've hung up, I've taken down the shingle.
Sure.
And what am I doing next? So in this interim period, because you didn't start here at the Kingston Pen, and we should tell our audience that we are recording this interview inside the pen.
That's right. We're locked behind the walls of Kingston Pen. There's no one else here except Dave and I. That's it. We're the only two residents of KP at the moment.
For a short period
of time, yeah.
We're going to get parole
shortly. The story with KP starts actually just before we finished, just after we sold the 4 Points, just before we sold the ambassador. Because in 2012, the government made the announcement that KP was going to close. Mm-hmm. And it eventually and officially closed September of 2013. Okay? And at that time, so that was big news. Everybody knew about it. It was closing. They're shutting it down, and people were moving out. So it closed I can't remember exactly the last day that the pen was closed, that the last person who worked here left. At the time, obviously the United Way campaign had just started, early September. The chairperson of the United Way actually had connections with correctional services. Was the chair? I can't think of her name right at the top of my head right now. But anyway, an idea was thought about. I was a small part of that conversation, thinking, would it be a good idea to do some tours of Kingston Pen before it's whatever happens to it, right? Before it's not here anymore. There was some discussion about how much should we sell, how many tickets should we sell, and this and that. Numbers were bannered about, and I was skeptical. I didn't know, would this be a good thing? Would people be interested in this? Yeah, sure. Give it a try. Let's try it. See what happens. So they decided to do their thing and said, well, we'll see, what if we sell, like 200 or 300 tickets for $20 each? We'll get some volunteers to do it, and we'll make $5,000 or $6,000. Yeah, can't lose, right?
Yeah.
Anything, right? So they decided to do that and put up, I can't remember exact the number was, and put it on the United Way website. Like within seconds of releasing the tickets, the website crashed. It was overloaded.
I remember that.
It was overloaded. People couldn't get tickets. People couldn't buy tickets. There were so many people on their website. So they went back and souped up their servers or whatever it was this. A day or so later, put them back on sale. Again, within minutes, it crashed again. So they were, what's going on here? So my understanding is that they went to the Leon Center, which was then K-Rock Center, because through Ticketmasters it helped them out with creating some sort of thing. So I think they came to an arrangement somehow. They sorted them out and helped them out with creating these ticket sales. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they sold about 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000. I can't remember the exact number in 2013. You can go back and check. But again, those sold out in minutes. Again, everybody's shocked. Wow, this is pretty cool. So they did that and stuff like that. And it was so successful in that because CSC has a great connection, a long-term connection with United Way. And they also have a long-term connection with Habitat for Humanity.
Right.
So successful for United Way, they decided, well, how about we do a piece of this in October or late October for the Habitat for Humanity? They did it again. Big sell it again. Hey, the die is cast in my book. I look at this and say, hey, there's a golden goose laying some golden eggs. How do we tap into this?
That's right.
For as long as we can. How do we do this? So the wheels started getting in motion, and I was involved a bit, politically, this and that, strategically. I know, how do we get these people together to make this a reality? Well, nothing happened. 2014 comes and goes, nothing's happening. So 2015 comes and goes, nothing happens. Finally, eventually, minds came to be, whatever, and an arrangement was made through St. Lawrence Parks Commission, City of Kingston, Correctional Service of Canada, that the tours would begin in 2016. So that started, and they did the tours in 2016, and they sold out virtually all those tickets in no time flat.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, the first thing. And then I was very excited to see this happen, and I wanted to make sure, what could I do to ensure that there's, this lasts as long as possible. Mm-hmm. What small piece could I play in this puzzle, whatever you want to call it? How do we keep this going?
Keep this going.
Yeah. So I wasn't looking for anything, but somebody said, well, they're looking for someone to manage it. Why don't you throw your name in the hat? I said, okay. You know what? At the end of the day, so I'd throw my name in the hat, and lo and behold, they thought I'd be able to do a good job here, and this will be my third season now behind the walls of Kingston Pen. So first year I was there, 2017. We had I can't remember. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Big numbers. And then last year we did over 67,500 people through. And then this year we're expecting another big year as well. So
who would have thunk?
Exactly. Who would have thunk? And people from all over the world. And people buying tickets from all over the world.
So here you are. You have finished up your career in the hospitality industry with the Ambassador and the 4 Points, taken a bit of time off, and now gotten involved in converting a really old penitentiary into one of the hottest tourist attractions in the country.
Absolutely.
When my family came back, those that have been here, they were really surprised at how much stuff there was inside these walls. Because if you're driving by on King Street, all you're seeing is one big wall, and you don't get a sense of the depth and the architecture and the buildings that are inside.
That's right.
And the history, particularly when the guides, because I think at the time they took the tour, I think it was in 16, they had a fellow who was a correctional officer in here doing the tour with them. And so they got a bit of extra information.
And they still get that to some point.
Right.
Yeah, because we do have tour guides that we hire. Like we hire probably about 40 to 50 students throughout to be tour guides. Plus, we have about 25 to 30 retired correctional service guards that used to work here, working here as well. Mm-hmm. So they give tours, and we actually have them stationed at different posts throughout the tour. So as a tour guide is taking you through, you'll stop at different locations. Like, for example, people won't know what I'm talking about unless you've been here. There'll be a station at the North Gate. There's something at the main dome, at the shop dome, at the RTC gym. There will be retired CSC guards at those posts. So they'll bring them in, and then the CSC guard will give them a little tidbit of their experience regarding to what they did here in the pen. So, and that's why the tours every tour is a little different, because you just never know which of the CSC guards is going to be here and which tour guide is going to take you through. So each time there'd be 5 or 6 or 7 of them through. if they're different, you'll hear 5 or 6 or 7 different stories. So it's not a bad thing to come 2 or 3 times.
That's right. Now, you alluded to it a little bit before the song about the proceeds from the sale of tickets for these tours. And there's still a good chunk that goes to the United Way.
Correct.
And what is it? What's the percentage?
Well, the proceeds the proceeds of the tours, there's a 50% of the proceeds go to destination marketing,
right,
to help promote the site, promote Kingston, promote tourism in Kingston. Tourism in general. And 50% goes to the Youth Homelessness Project program through the United Way. Okay. So specifically earmarked to youth homelessness, those that are between 0 and 24. I believe that's the number. You'll have to look on the United Way website, but that's specifically targeted to youth homelessness, all the funds directed to there.
What kind of money is going to the United Way, just to give people an idea of the number? Just a ballpark? Yeah,
I'd have to look back. I haven't got my notes here in front of me right here. In 2016, it was a little over $300,000 that went. In 2017, again, the years overlap and stuff, was about $1.2 million. And then last year, we've already given them $500,000, and there's going to be a little bit more coming in because once we do the financial statements and audits, so there's going to be another sizable check coming as well to them, to the United Way for Youth Homelessness.
That's a lot of money.
Well. Plus, we haven't opened up yet this year. Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it's a huge amount of money directed at that program. So when you talk about win-win, this is win-win-win-win-win. Like you have to do it several times because, like, we hire the students. We give close to 30 to 40 students full-time work from April right till September, then some into the fall as well. And then we have the CSC guards here, so they're all earning money. They're all paying taxes. And the economic, if you look at it, they did the economic impact of last year's tours, 2018 tours, 67,500 people, close to a $6 million economic impact in the city of Kingston. So that's pretty significant.
Stories that you can share with us about what has gone on within these walls over the years, just to whet people's appetite for coming for
Again, my stories are just what I've heard, because obviously I didn't work here. I hear different stories from some of the guards that worked here for decades, and they tell me what the goings on that was happening here. So you got to remember, this was like a city within a city. Like a self-contained city that was here, right? So everything went here. So at its peak, I think there was probably close to 600 or 700 inmates in here, and probably 200 or 300 or 400. So there are almost 1,000 people behind these walls, working and living and all that sort of stuff, and doing everything that you would do in life. Like everything that was happening behind these walls. So you think about just what it would take to run an operation this large with the staff and the I don't call them guests, but they're not really guests. The residents of this place here. The things that are the most memorable here, I guess, for people is about the riots. Mm-hmm. There was a riot in 1930. There was one in 1954, but the biggest one was in 1971. The 1971 riot that happened here, and that made national headlines. And the armed military had to come in, and there was lots of damage done, and there was some injuries to some of the protective custody inmates. Fortunately, none of the staff were injured during that time frame. So to come in here and actually see where this happened, where these things happened, and be pointed out and say, this is where this is where this happened, and this is what was happening here, and stuff like that, it gives you goosebumps. Yeah. It makes the hair stand out on the back of your neck. Because the first time I heard it, I knew it, and I've heard it many times now, and depending on who's telling the story, it's frightening. Yeah. It's a scary place to be in here, because anything can happen at any time, right? And and you have to give a huge tip of the hat to all the people that work behind here, because it's not the greatest of environment to work in, but they did a fantastic job. And KP is a notorious prison, because a lot of the most worst criminals in Canadian history came here. And if you do any research on them, you'll see who they were, right? So it's and
that's probably what makes it a little scarier is the fact that this was a maximum security prison at one particular point, and like you said, all the major criminals who were convicted of various offenses ended up here at one point or another.
That's right.
And so it makes life a lot more difficult for the folks who worked in here. Sure. Now, at one particular point, there were women in here as well, right?
There were women and children.
Yeah.
Like when it was first built, like you remember this prison was built by the inmates. You know, all the rock that you see here, all the stone for these buildings are actually quarried from Richardson Stadium, just up the street.
Oh, okay.
So that's how the Richardson Stadium, that's why it's like a bowl there.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they quarried all the rock for
really?
Kingston Pen, yeah. So it's all came from this site. So again, at one point, Kingston Pen, the property of Kingston Pen was from all the way from the shore of Lake Ontario all the way north to the 401. That was all owned by Correctional Services of Canada. That was all Penn because they farmed and they took the rock and they did all that sort of stuff. So they worked. So the thing is, if you hear the stories when they first opened it, this was just it was a wooden fence around, and they got up in the morning, the prisoners over there, and they took them out to the fields and did, hard labor,
mm-hmm.
like breaking rock and farming and stuff. They had paddocks here with horses and all sorts of stuff here. So and there was children in here too, women and children as well. So it's
this is the neat stuff that you learn when you come in and do a tour.
Yeah.
Near the ending of the program, and let's spend a couple of minutes talking about where this all ends up. Now, you've said the tour is still a major destination for people from all over the country,
right.
Internationally as well. Yeah. Where are we going to end up with this particular site going down the road?
Well, if it was up to me,
yep.
Obviously continuing on as we are right now.
Mm-hmm.
This year, we're actually, if you've noticed on the news, we're opening this up to the ability to film some more films in here,
mm-hmm.
do some more filming. We've already had some interest with some producers and some directors and some people that are coming in to, kick the tires around here and take a look and see.
Yeah.
And there's already been some significant interest in that respect as well too, to do that. So again, it's one of those things that until a really great use is come up to do this, let's use it for what it's doing right now. Like I think it's, and I think the thing is a lot of the buildings here are designated historically significant, so it's designated as a National Historic Site to a certain extent. So anything that happens here, a lot of these buildings have to remain relatively intact.
Basically the way they are.
Basically the way they are. So this is a long-term process. Like if you look at the example of the women's pen that's just up the road there, that was closed in 2000, and we're now in 2019. So 19 years later, virtually nothing has happened with that site. It's been sold a couple of times. I know Queens bought it. Now recently the Dornicamps bought it. And let's see what happens with that site in the next little while. And again, it's going to have to be community involvement. The community's going to have to support it, politically and socially and whatever. They're going to have to support whatever goes there. And if there isn't support, it's just going to stay mothballed for many more years to come.
Mm-hmm.
With that site and the size of that building and the site that's there is just basically a postage stamp compared to what's behind these walls here.
That's right.
And you never know. You cannot fathom the size of this facility behind these walls until you actually walk through these doors and actually walk it and see it and experience feeling it being here. It's like this is it's a site that has huge potential. People have been talking about Alcatraz and North and stuff like that. If you look at the history of Alcatraz, it first started, if you look at the history when it first became a tourist attraction, the first few years were not very good.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit like that. But, once they started doing a movie or two and this and that, it got worldwide acclamation.
Yeah.
And then it's and it's been going on for over 50 years now. And it draws, in the millions of people. I don't know what the numbers are down there. So is there a potential here for this site here to do those sorts of things and hold different events here, movies and tours and all that sort of stuff? Yeah, there's huge potential here. It's going to take somebody, people with vision. It's going to take, I don't know what it's going to take.
Yeah.
Somebody with deep pockets. Is a government involved that's going to continue on with this? I guess I have to be at some extent because these are old buildings. There's a lot of money to upkeep and to maintain.
That's right.
There's not going to be just a single investor that's going to come in here and invest that kind of money without some kind of return. So public funds probably will be a key component of whatever happens here.
There's a lot of potential, like you say, and I've really enjoyed our conversation today. Thanks very much for your time.
Oh, my pleasure. Anytime.
Theme music for the program is Stasis Oasis, a tune written and performed by Kingston musician Tim Aylesworth. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions about any of our episodes, please send a note to the Kingstonian Podcast Facebook page. This is Dave Cunningham from Kingston, Ontario. Thank you for listening. Until next time.